Welcome back, Fantasy Moto fans, to another episode of RotoX Fantasy Preview Show. This is for round 6 in Millville, Spring Creek. Go ahead and get used to this set for a little while. We are on the down stretch, 4 races to go. I was actually building a set in this corner of the room, a dedicated moto set, but unfortunately, or fortunately, we are actually house shopping. We'll be moving soon, so I don't want to put any more time into that. So I just shifted some of the stuff over here onto these shelves, and that's where we will be. As always, I have 5 riders for you to look at for this race, some FFL tips, some general tips, what a snapshot of my team could look like from this weekend. But first, let's review round 5 Redbud 2, which already feels like eternity ago. At Redbud 2, we had 3,412 championship players and 5,071 total players, and those were almost the exact same numbers we had at Redbud 1. They were up just slightly, but within less than 0.1 of a percentage. The riders on the track had a really rough weekend. We only had 7 of the 16 All-Stars manage to score that perfect 50 points, and 27 of 64 non-All-Stars managed to score double points. 44 would be the equivalent of scoring double points in both motos. Only 42% there. It was right in the middle of the 5 rounds. This round was pretty much average. The perfect score on the weekend is 542, not counting FFLs. If you did manage to get both FFLs, that would have been 572, and that was actually doable this week as we had predictable FFOs in both classes. The median score was 392 of the championship league, which means that if you scored 393 or more, you did better than half of the paying league. There were a few big fat zeros though this weekend, led by Alex Ray at 2.4%. Man, I love A-Ray, but why are you guys picking him? Why do you do this to yourself? Big Greg Benny Bloss also scored a 0, didn't even line up. Make sure to check Twitter before the race starts. I know this was a weird one. It was on a Monday, but still make sure to check qualifying times if you can. Make sure to check Twitter. That's what we're there for. Pierce Brown also didn't line up. He didn't even qualify. He didn't even practice. 1.8%, and Lance Kobush with a 0.3. All in all, 0-point scoring riders made up 8.4% of picks, the lowest by far this season. Your weekly winners in the championship league was E. Bowen, 124 with 534 points. He took the jersey. In the Roto X League, the best scorer was Hobo Hands, 91, scoring 480. Neither one of them are leading the championship league, though, as C. Helic 17 still leading that championship league with 2,348 points, and the RotoX League is still led by R. Kerr J. 99 with 2,292. Before we get into who I picked this last weekend and who I think you guys should pick this coming weekend, don't forget to follow on Twitter and Instagram and hit the little subscription button here on YouTube if you would. That is really helpful to all content creators, not just me. And if you want to support the channel directly monetarily, you can also do that on Patreon. There is a link in the description below to the Patreon. Patreon subscribers have really great perks, including a much better, more enhanced cheat sheet that has all the detail you could ever need. It has a weekly podcast that will go right alongside the official Pulp podcast, but it's a little bit more data-driven and a little less insider knowledge. Both of those things are available to Patreon supporters at the insider level. And as always, the free perks of race day cheat sheets, race day commentary, injury reports, everything like that will be available on Twitter and Instagram as well. All right, before we get into the picks that I think you should make this week, let's go ahead and look back at my team from last week. And man, was it not great. The 250 class started off well. I have Jet Lawrence scored 50. Jerry Robin had the big score at 76. Jaleel School was fine at 45, but the big hurt came from Brandon Hartraft. He had been so consistent all year, and I literally took him to be my rock over Mitchell Harrison, who was on my early team, and I was punished harshly for it, only 29 points out of Brandon. 450 class, I picked Chase Sexton. I never pick rookies. I picked a rookie, and I paid for it, only 36 points. Noren also had a disappointing moto. He only got me 33. Ben LeMay showed up and gave me 49, and most importantly, shout out to Grant Harlan for getting me 64 points. I did go with Shane McElrath for the FFL, and I lost. -7 points there. Ty Masterpool was obviously the right decision. Now, what you've all been waiting for, the meat and potatoes of the show, let's go into the 5 riders that I think you need to take a look at this weekend for the Spring Creek National. Number 1, no surprise, 250 All-Star, give me Alex Martin. I think you should take Alex or Jeremy here, but my money's on Alex because of that big, fat 5 handicap. Here's the details on Alex. He has finished top 10 in every single moto. He has been in the top 6 out of the 10 motos. His average finish, 5.8, which is right in line with that 5 handicap. And most importantly, he has podiumed the last 4 events at Spring Creek. I think Jeremy will be just as good of an option, but I like to take that little bit of breathing room on the handicap when it comes down to 2 guys. A 250 guy that I'm unsure if I should recommend or not here, but I can't pick him, but if I could, I don't think I'd have him on my team. Jalek Swoll, Rockstars, Jalek Swoll, number 352. Here's the problem. Jalek has raced 3 nationals now. He has finished inside the top 20 only twice, 3 times outside of the top 20, and 1 time he did not make it out of the first corner because of a concussion. I just don't think there's a lot of value in Jalek. Of course, he's going to prove me wrong and go 16, 17 and score big points, sure, but I just don't see the consistency here. We didn't see the consistency in Supercross, and we did not see the consistency when he made his debut in 2019. So I am staying away from Jalek Swoll, even if I could pick him this week. Moving on to the 450 class, your all-star should be Chase Sexton. I can't pick him, but his handicap is the highest it's been since week 2 at a 6. He's been top 7 in 6 of his 10 motos, averaging a 7th place finish, which is great, and he also has 2 podium motos to his name. His worst finish of the week came last week at a 9.9, which was still extremely salvageable considering the fact that he wrecked in both motos, and that is why his handicap is so generous this week. Give me Chase Sexton as my all-star. Going into the 450 rider that you should take, Henry Miller better having a massive, massive pick trend, but because he's not sexy and he doesn't have a lot of fanfare, he may not. Henry Miller is a 7. He has finished in the top 17, 70% of motos this year. He's averaging 15th place, and he even finished 11th once. And in the 4 times that he's made it to Spring Creek in his career, his average finish is a 13th place. Henry is a rock. He's been a rock all season, and he's going to continue to be a rock in the second half of the motocross season. And my final pick for you, your high handicap hero of the week, is Cody Shaw. Cody is a 13, which means he only needs to get 23rd in order to score double points, and he's done that 60% of the time this season. His average finish of 21st would give you decent points. He should score you at least 26 to 28 points, and his best of 13th would max you out if he can match that. His finish in Spring Creek in 2019, his only time here, he went 28-18. That 28's not so great, but that 18 really shows the potential he has, and he did that as a true privateer, and now he has a team backing him. Before we get to the FFLs, I just want to point out the ins and outs this week because we have to do some injuries that are going to affect the FFL, so let's go over those first. First, we have a swap on the Star Racing Yamaha team. Jarrett Fry will be making his pro debut this weekend, but Ty Masterpool will be out. Ty Masterpool has scored 3 of the last 4 FFLs, but he is out, so make sure he's not on your team, make sure he's not on your FFL. Fry doesn't even have a handicap yet, so I can't speculate how well he's going to do. But definitely make sure to watch his qualifying times in the morning. Also missing in the 250 class are factory riders Darian Sinai and Pierce Brown. In the 450 class, Benny Bloss, who banged up his ankle, is in, but definitely watch his qualifying times because we don't know how much his injury is going to hinder him. Dean Wilson is out and will be out for the remainder of the season, and Luke Renzland will miss another race. Man, it's really hitting hard. We have 4 factory guys on the injury reserve this week alone. Looking at your 250 FFL, I think the clear choice with Masterpool out here is McElrath. McElrath had all of the momentum before Masterpool came in, and he did still steal one from Masterpool even. He's the only guy that has more than 2, the other one being Ferrandis. It's crazy to think that 8 of the 10 FFLs so far have gone to those star bikes, with only the Martin brothers splitting the other 2. If you wanted to go against the grain and not pick a star bike, I think the Martin brothers are a good choice, especially being at their home track. On the 450s, however, AC, Adam Cianciarulo, pulled 2 FFLs last weekend to match Osborne with 3 on the season. Those are the 2 guys that I would put my money on. I wouldn't bet on anybody else, but of those 2, I'm going to ride the hot hand. I think AC has the momentum right now. He finally has that first win monkey off his back. First moto win, first overall, so I would go with AC if you are so inclined to pick the FFLs. Let's take a look at what my team could look like, my way too early team that I made Thursday night when I did the podcast. As stated before, I have Alex Martin at a 5 handicap for my 250 All-Star. I have Hunter Lawrence at a 6, which may bite me, but remember, he went 1-6 here last year with his first moto win of his career. Kevin Moranz is a 15. I really like Kevin, and he finished extremely well here last year. And I have Mason Gonzalez at a 6. Mason just keeps plugging away, and I think he is definitely reaching the threshold of his usability with his handicap, but as long as he continues to keep getting good starts and putting himself in good positions, he's going to score good points. In the 450 class, I can't pick Chase Sexton, so I'm going with Brock Tickle for my All-Star. with all of the injuries piling up in that class, I think Tickles +7 gives me the best chance at scoring max points. Henry Miller also a 7 for the reasons we said before. And Christian Craig at a +1. Again, with all those injuries, that middle of the pack is really starting to thin out, and I think Christian is going to benefit from that. And my high handicap hero of the week from before, Cody Schock at a 13. I am taking FFLs because there's only 4 races left, and I have ground to make up. So McElrath will be 250 FFL. AC will be my 450 FFL. I just want to take a second to thank the Patreon supporters that are already on board that help make this channel possible. Guys like Travis Marks, 3 Smoke, and Crazy Climber. If you want to see your name on this list, get a shout out and also get that extra information that I told you about to help you make your picks better, make sure to check the link in below to get details on the Patreon subscription. Also, don't forget to follow on Instagram and Twitter so that you can have the race day information as well as those cheat sheets that will drop about 1 hour before the gates do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Donnie. This is RotoX. Good luck this weekend, guys.